Am I really looking at this race again? The 2010 Breeders' Cup Classic featuring Zenyatta, the horse that everyone wanted to win, and Blame, the horse that almost nobody wanted to win. I wanted Blame to win because I didn't like Zenyatta. And people misunderstand that. They think, oh, if you don't like a horse, you must think that horse sucks. You must think that horse is slow or untalented. But it's not always about talent. I thought Zenyatta was a very talented horse. I just didn't like reading about her. I didn't like seeing comments about her. I didn't like looking at her. I couldn't stand Zenyatta, as people who knew me back then already knew. But I just wanted to look at this race anyway because I just wanted to show people what I look for when I analyze a horse race. And maybe I'll say some good things about Zenyatta too. We'll see. Here we go. They're at Churchill Downs. It's at night. It's a mile and 1/4. And you're going to see right out of the gate that Zenyatta doesn't break well. I'm going to make it full screen. Zenyatta doesn't break well. She's all the way at the back. And Blame is... Where is Blame? I think he's right here. But Zenyatta is all the way back here. And Zenyatta still thinks this is a synthetic race. But what I mean is that synthetic racing is more like turf racing in that the pace is usually a bit slower and the field is more bunched and together. So if this was a synthetic race, the entire field will be more around here. But Quality Road, Esport City, First Dude, they're all the way over here in Haynesfield, and they're going to separate from the field. I once read in an article somewhere that Mike Smith thought he should pull up Zenyatta, or at least he considered it, because he couldn't understand why she was so far behind. But you can argue she was in a good position. You see the leading group here, Esport City, Quality Road, Haynesfield, First Dude. You can tell they're absolutely done. This is a mile 1/4 race, and they're already this far ahead. They are really burning each other out. This gap here, you don't need to see the fractions to know they're going fast because there's a gap there. And Blame is somewhere in the second group. He's not as far back as Zenyatta. So you can look at this from two ways. You can say that Blame has better position than Zenyatta because he's in this second group and he's going to be able to get first run. Or you can say that Blame is working harder than Zenyatta, so he's actually using himself more, and he's more likely to get tired in the end. While Zenyatta is all the way back here, so she's going to take full advantage of the pace. So they're both in good positions, and there's a positive and negative to this part, to being here and to being here. But they're both in good positions because neither of them are with the first four horses who are in some kind of suicidal pace duel. So you can hear Trevor Denman in the background saying Mike Smith is already asking Zenyatta because he realizes that he needs to be a little bit closer. Even though, as I said, it's not a bad spot. It's not a bad spot at all if you believe the pace is going to collapse, because this is a gigantic gap between the two groups, between the first four horses and these guys, and Zenyatta right here. So it's not a bad spot at all, but Mike Smith is right to ask Zenyatta for more, because you don't want to be too far back, especially with a horse like Blame somewhere here. Alright, you're going to see on the far turn that the first four horses are starting to get tired. You see they're starting to drop back, especially Haynesfield. And I'm trying to see where Blame... I think this is Blame. He started to make his move. So you see this is Blame right here, I think. It's hard to tell because the resolution isn't high enough. And I can't tell where Zenyatta is. We're going to keep going. So you can see here that Blame reaches the front earlier. He's already pretty much in the lead. While Zenyatta is all the way back here, and you can see that Mike Smith is trying to straighten out Zenyatta because she had a little bit of trouble. She had to check maybe for half a second when Quality Road was backing into her, and then she had to find room. So that's just the life of a closer, though. When you're a closing horse or a late closing horse like Zenyatta or Mine That Bird, or I don't know, what are some other famous closers? Part of being a closer is coming all the way from behind and avoiding traffic, and that's just how it is in a big field like the Breeders' Cup Classic or the Kentucky Derby. But you're going to see that Zenyatta is going to straighten out, and she's going to move really well. She's going to make a move that reminded me of Easy Goer in the 1989 Breeders' Cup Classic when he was trying to mow down Sunday Silence. But Blame already had the advantage, just like Sunday Silence did. See, Blame already had the advantage. He ran harder earlier, and he ran harder on the far turn because he made the first move. But all that hard work paid off because he had the few lengths advantage on Zenyatta. And you can argue that, oh, well, if the wire was all the way over here, maybe Zenyatta would have won. But I don't think you can think like that. I don't think you can think, oh, if the race was this much longer, then Zenyatta would have won. The race was a mile and one-fourth. If the jockeys knew the race was longer, maybe they wouldn't have gone so fast early on, because they were really burning out there. So I thought Blame ran the better race. But people misunderstand me when I say that I wasn't a fan of Zenyatta. Because when you're not a fan of a horse, people assume, oh, you must think that horse is really bad. You must think that horse is untalented. And of course, Zenyatta had a lot of talent. I could even say that Zenyatta was possibly one of the greatest female racehorses of all time. But I have a problem when people say that Zenyatta was as great as horses as Secretariat, Spectacular Bid, Seattle Slew, Affirm. I have a problem when people say that Zenyatta was on that level because Zenyatta really didn't race in a lot of high quality races. Yes, she did race in a lot of Grade 1 races, but if you look at what those races were, small little fields on synthetic where all she had to do was circle the field, there wasn't a lot there. But I'm saying Zenyatta was talented. If they ran Zenyatta in maybe 15 Grade 1 races open to males in her career, she might have won maybe 10 or 11 of them. She could have had spectacular campaigns, but instead the connections chose to wait and wait and wait, and then run against males at the end of the year, and then wait and wait and wait, and then run against males at the end of the year. And I guess that's a smart play in that they wanted to protect her. They wanted to protect the streak, but she could have had a campaign for the ages in terms of how females are campaigned. She could have raced in races like the Santa Anita Handicap, the Hollywood Gold Cup, the Pacific Classic. She did not need a ship to face males. She could have raced in her home tracks. Nobody expected her to ship east for every race, but we're saying that Zenyatta could have raced against males more often and been successful. And to say that is actually a backhanded compliment because you wouldn't say that about any other female racehorse. You wouldn't say about I don't know. You wouldn't say about Life is Sweet that, oh, she should have raced against males more often, and she actually did race against males once, but it's kind of ironic. She finished third in the Hollywood Gold Cup one year, and that's kind of ironic because they never tried Zenyatta in races like that, but they tried Life is Sweet in the Hollywood Gold Cup. But I'm saying that Zenyatta would have done well in those races. It's just that we don't know because they never tried. So that's my video. Hopefully it doesn't sound like I hate Zenyatta too much, and that's completely false too. I do not hate Zenyatta. I just do not like reading about her, that's all. But they both ran well. Zenyatta ran well, Blame ran well, It was a great Breeders' Cup Classic, and probably one that people will watch for years to come. So maybe I'll make another video soon.